Arnold, I'm so happy we're going into business. We're going to make the best toilets in the world. Of course, the best toilets available. Ones that can taste. What? No. No, that would be really creepy. Why would you do that? No one wants toilets that can taste. What use is that? Just regular, unfeeling, unthinking, untasting toilets. My son is dead. I have nothing left in my life. Except making toilets that can taste. I did it. My years of hard work have paid off. Finally, I've invented a toilet that can taste. But wait a minute. If a toilet can taste, that means... Oh God. No, this is too creepy. What have I done? These violent delights have violent ends. I want you to invest in this toilet company. The toilets may or may not be able to taste and led to a man's suicide. But it's a great long-term investment. Long-term? I'm dying, laddie. What good are toilets to me? Well, we can put cameras in them and blackmail people. I'm in. Don't worry, I think I can turn you into one of those tasting toilets. And failing that, I think I can get a tasting toilet to act just like you. That sounds like a plan. Trial 36. How are you today, Jim? Trial 149. Fuck it, this is creepy. And our episode begins with a bored James Delos living in an IKEA showroom with a goldfish. This goldfish is probably a metaphor for a short memory, like a goldfish. Actually, scientists have proven that goldfish have memories that last over 5 months. And we get the awesome song Play With Fire by the Rolling Stones because this is essentially hell. And of course, Jim is going to get burned up in about 5 minutes. It did occur to me that James Delos is a lot like Scrooge McDuck. He's a small billionaire Scotsman who's into a lot of weird technology. Well, Scrooge then shakes a bunch when pouring his milk, and we should remember that milk is super symbolic. And then William arrives to chat with James. William lets James know that he needs to perform an exit interview with him before James can get out of the facility. The interview is to prove repetition, and William then hands James a mysterious letter. Spooky. We then get this odd scene with railroad workers killing hosts or guests or both. There's no explanation for any of this, nor is there any logic to putting bodies beneath railroad tracks. Yeah, this looks creepy, but it's completely impractical. Those spikes are never going to hold and those tracks are going to move, causing a train derailment. Perhaps that's their goal, but then why make their sabotage so obvious? It seems that this scene is for the visuals and has no impact on the plot whatsoever. And then we get Hot Clementine, who has dragged Bernard who knows how many miles through the desert on his butt to this cave. And inside the cave, Bernard finds Elsie. Bernard didn't kill her after all. He only choked her out but gave her a bucket and some protein bars to keep her alive. I'm sorry, what? This is the explanation? There better be more to this story. Keep in mind, Elsie's been captured for a long time. It's actually been at least a week. A week? Really? Yes, after Elsie was captured, we had a day where Bernard was looking for her, and then Teresa planned to use Maeve to discredit Ford. 2 days after Elsie was captured, Clementine was brought in, we had the demonstration, and Teresa was murdered. 3 days after Elsie was captured, Charlotte finds out about Teresa's murder and schemes with Lee to get Abernathy. 4 days after Elsie is captured, we have the day of the incident. 5 days after Elsie is captured, Bernard wanders with Charlotte and Dolores meets Major Craddock. And 6 days after Elsie is captured, Bernard is captured and brought to Dolores. And so this is 7 days after Elsie gets choked. And so Elsie has been chained to a wall with no water and given, 3 protein bars to live on for 7 days? Even ignoring the food and water situation, she's been in complete isolation for a week and is mentally fine. And she has had no chance to shower or change clothes, and she looks, frankly, friggin' incredible, all things considered. Just look at her hair. Something better be up here. Anyway, after supposedly being chained to a wall and starving for a week, Elsie is at first reluctant to trust Bernard, but after she discovers he's a malfunctioning host, she seems to soften a bit.
Bernard then has a flashback to his baking days back at the Violent Delights Cupcake Factory. By the way, there are a lot of eyeballs on this baking tray. Who are the 70-some-odd hosts that need these eyeballs? Well, after Bernard wakes up, he then finds a lever, and Elsie, despite having just learned the hard way to not go into mysterious hidden facilities, goes right into a mysterious hidden facility again with the very dude who choked her and chained her to a wall for a week.
I'm actually really surprised that considering Elsie had nothing to do but stare at the wall for a week, she didn't notice how funny looking that stone is. Once inside the facility, Bernard remembers that he once used their printer, and then Elsie mows down one of those creepy drone hosts because fuck those guys. And then Elsie, whose job is a programmer, decides to use an unlabeled syringe on Bernard.
We then get back to probably the Man in Black's daughter, who has been collected by Ghost Nation, and we get a cameo from the couple that kills Hector in the first episode of Westworld. By the way, 2 people, $45,000 a day, 2 weeks in the park, that's $1 million vacation. We then find out what happened to Stubbs. He's been hanging with the most overacting extra in the history of the show. Perhaps all of Lee's despair has transferred to her telepathically. So Stubbs has been missing for between 2 and 4 days, depending on when this scene takes place. And it does seem that Ghost Nation has been shaving Stubbs every day, so that was nice of them. And we also find out that the probable Man in Black's daughter speaks Ghost Nation's language, showing that she pays more attention to detail than any other character in the show. Man, if only we had her heading security instead of Stubbs.
We then get back to the Man in Black and Lawrence, who have arrived in Las Mudas, where they find their bartender is shaking like a resurrected Scotsman. It turns out Major Craddock and the remaining Confederados have taken over Las Mudas in order to make religious illusions and look for weaponry. And Craddock means business as he shoots the town elder in the arm, killing him instantly. If only he had the healing power of the Man in Black. The Man in Black finds out where the weaponry is and immediately sells everyone out and offers it to Craddock in exchange for leading him to glory, aka the Valley Beyond, aka the big mystery of the season. We then get back to Scrooge McDuck in his loop, and we're finding that he's still having trouble with his milk, though not as much. William then arrives and we find out what was in that letter. It's their conversation verbatim. William tells us that McDuck keeps getting errors and he hasn't been perfected yet. And so William decides to burn the entire house down.
Oh no, the goldfish!
Yeah, this seems awfully wasteful. Perfectly good exercise bike, jewelry, working water and sewage system. They couldn't have just burned the body and sent in a maid?
We then get back to the Man in Black and Major Craddock, who is super impressed with all the weaponry and decides to start torturing people. After watching the bartender get his hand blown off, we see flickers of sympathy in the Man in Black. Which is a little weird considering that this is a man who ruined his brother-in-law's life, put his father-in-law's consciousness into a creepy loop for 2 decades, and would regularly torture hosts. In fact, just 2 days ago he murdered a little boy for no reason at all. But then again, that little boy never served him whiskey. Then we get back to Stubbs and the probable Man in Black's daughter, who are brought before Akecheta. Probably Emily escapes, and we find out that Akecheta recently watched Star Trek II as he tells Stubbs that you're not really dead until you're forgotten. And then we find out why they're called Ghost Nation. They ghost. It's totally awesome. It's like a tribe of Batmen.
We then get back to Bernard and Elsie, who find a new type of programming code for a different type of host. Code that was stored in Abernathy. And Elsie figures that this new mysterious type of host is behind this door. Of course, we've already seen the Scrooge McDuck scenes, so this isn't too much of a mystery at this point. They probably should have ordered these scenes differently. And then we are back with the Man in Black, who is upset at Craddock for wasting time when they should be riding to glory. After Craddock harasses Lawrence's wife, the Man in Black remembers his wife's suicide. The memories are presented much like host memories, actually, and I'm not really sure what to make of them. The Man in Black specifically said that Juliet took the wrong pills, fell asleep in the bathtub, and it was his daughter who later revealed that it was a suicide. These memories, though, show blood in the bathtub, as if she slit her wrists. That seems like a pretty big screw-up considering the original story was in the previously on at the beginning of the episode. But then again, we saw the sun set before noon and people walking half a day to go a couple miles, so I have no idea what are screw-ups and what are clues anymore.
Whatever the case, the Man in Black becomes a good guy. He guns everybody down, grabs Craddock, makes him drink some nitroglycerin, and then Lawrence blows him up. What an awesome friendship between the Man in Black and Lawrence. It almost makes up for the time the Man in Black murdered Lawrence's wife and then slit Lawrence's throat and drained him of all his blood.
We then get back to McDuck's creepy loop, where he seems to have mastered pouring milk. 20 years to get to this point. William arrives and reveals that this is actually the 149th attempt to bring back Scrooge McDuck. His mind, though, keeps rejecting reality. They're perhaps only a couple years away from perfecting the technology, but William reveals that Juliet has killed herself and he's lost interest in the whole project. McDuck yells for Logan's help, but finds out that Logan overdosed years ago. Of course, overdosing isn't dying, but the technician wants to know if they should terminate, and William says to let it go for a couple more days to see how much degradation happens. The fish is saved.
The 149th attempt over what, 15 years? That's a lot of trips to the park for William, isn't it? Like 10 a year?
Well, they might not all make it to the interview stage. A bunch might break down before that. Plus, it seems that the early ones only lived a couple days. William may have spent more time in the park in the early years with the short-lived ones. Anyway, we next flash forward 14 days to find that the facility has been destroyed.
Oh man, the fish!
Now, for some reason, the experiment was left running not just a few days, but 14. And for some reason, the technician went into the facility to get murdered. No explanation for any of this. Was it Bernard's doing? If so, why?
By the way, 14 days, all of Season 1 and the 4 episodes of Season 2 were all in 14 days?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but if you push things really far and ignore changes of clothing, you can kind of make it work. Day 1, we can have the Man in Black leave the facility and go rape Dolores. On day 2, the sheriff breaks down, Abernathy finds the photo, and Walter breaks down. On day 3, we have Lee's cleansing of the hosts. On day 4, we have a new Abernathy, Dolores runs into Maeve, and Maeve freezes up later that day. On day 5, Maeve is given a second chance, screws up, and is treated by Elsie. Day 6 would be the day of the stray. Day 7 would be Elsie sleuthing. Day 8 would be her kidnapping. Day 9 is Teresa's planning. Day 10, her murder. Day 11, the cleanup. Day 12, the incident. Day 13, Bernard with Charlotte. Day 14, Bernard with Dolores. And thus day 15 would be Dolores' battle and the discovery of James Delos. Of course, this makes Ford's terraforming an incredible feat and makes Stubbs really stupid for letting Dolores go out of her loop only a day after the Violent Delights incident, and Maeve needs to die every single day for a week with no one thinking it's suspicious, but yeah, 14 days is somewhat workable. Anyway, Bernard and Elsie then fight James Delos and then end up putting him out of his misery by burning him alive. Bernard then remembers that he printed another brain.
Theory, it's Ford. No, it's Arnold. No, wait, it's Logan. It's William. It's Teresa. No, it's definitely Destin. It's Destin, right? That would be honestly the best twist.
And then despite being chained to a wall for a week and Bernard being a malfunctioning robot, Elsie decides to trust him. And Bernard remembers that he's the one that killed everyone in the room, including the creepy robots. He even stomped a dude down. We then run into the Man in Black, finally securing his army of Lawrence's cousins after failing at Escalante and with the Confederados. And for some reason Ford allows this, even though he specifically said that William needed to go it alone 2 episodes ago. Lawrence's daughter says that one good deed doesn't wash out the bad, and the Man in Black says that this wasn't a good deed. They ride off and run into probably the Man in Black's daughter, who turns out to be the Man in Black's daughter. Didn't see that one coming. And a great episode it was. Whoa, Sweet Robin, you're back. I thought Chad shot you in the head. What happened? I was resurrected in a large sea of milk and was adrift for a week and then rescued by some friendly American Indians. I don't want to bore you with details. Bore me with details? What? That sounds like an extremely interesting tale of survival. There was a bucket and some protein bars, and they washed my hair and shaved me every day. Look, explaining it all wouldn't make good entertainment. Wouldn't you rather see more of Major Craddock?
Oh yeah, Major Craddock, my favorite character after Felix and Sylvester. Thankfully, they'll be back next week.
Anything happen while I was gone? No, not much. Oh yeah, we discovered an entire park.